Donald Trump has been elected the 47th president of the United States, in a victory that has been hailed as a stunning political comeback. In the past few hours, the vote tally showing Trump defeating his Democratic rival Kamala Harris, who has yet to concede. At 78, Mr. Trump is said to become the first convicted criminal to win the White House in one of the most polarized contests in U.S. history. What started off as a close call quickly saw Trump closing in fast towards the 270 electoral votes needed to win this race. The count is now 279 for him versus 223 for Harris, with Trump securing the majority of the crucial battleground states. And his latest win in Wisconsin helping Trump move past the magic number after he flipped the state and dealt a blow to the Democrats' pivotal blue wall. Both candidates saw Wisconsin as critical to the path to presidency, not just for its 10 electoral votes, but also for its symbolism as a swing state in the heart of the Midwest. Trump maintains a 2-point lead over Harris in Pennsylvania, with more than 96% of the votes tallied. Both candidates have spent much time and resources there, with Trump the target of an assassination attempt in Butler in July. Trump's lead in another swing state, North Carolina, gives him a further 16 electoral votes. Democrats have won the state only twice since 1968, most recently in 2008. That was when voters backed Barack Obama. Trump won there in the past 2 elections. Trump's projected win in Georgia also giving him a crucial edge of 16 electoral votes. Republicans have sought to restore the state's long-time status as a Republican stronghold since Joe Biden's victory in 2020. Next is Nevada, with about 93% of the ballots counted. Trump's currently ahead there in the small state of 3 million people that holds 6 electoral votes. Nevada has voted Democrat since 2008, with Trump losing by about 2 points in 2016 and 2020. The battleground state of Michigan also in focus, with about 96% of the ballots counted. Trump remains in the lead, and Michigan holds 15 electoral votes for the winner. Mr. Trump declaring victory soon after he was projected to win in Pennsylvania. Here's part of the speech he delivered in Florida.
This was a movement like nobody's ever seen before. And frankly, this was, I believe, the greatest political movement of all time. There's never been anything like this in this country, and maybe beyond. And now it's going to reach a new level of importance because we're going to help our country heal. We're going to help our country heal. We have a country that needs help, and it needs help very badly. We're going to fix our borders. We're going to fix everything about our country. And we made history for a reason tonight, and the reason is going to be just that. We overcame obstacles that nobody thought possible, and it is now clear that we've achieved the most incredible political thing. Look what happened. Is this crazy? But it's a political victory that our country has never seen before, nothing like this. I want to thank the American people for the extraordinary honor of being elected your 47th president and your 45th president. And to every citizen, I will fight for you, for your family, and your future. Every single day I will be fighting for you, and with every breath in my body, I will not rest until we have delivered the strong, safe, and prosperous America that our children deserve and that you deserve. This will truly be the golden age of America. That's what we have to have. This is a magnificent victory for the American people that will allow us to make America great again.
Our Republicans have won control of the U.S. Senate, retaking the chamber for the first time in 4 years. It puts the party in position to play a far larger role in determining key policies and appointing justices to the U.S. Supreme Court. While victory is assured for the Republicans, the final figure is still up in the air. They've secured at least 52 seats at the moment after flipping Democratic seats in West Virginia and Ohio. Democrats, on the other hand, currently have 42 seats in hand. They had previously held a narrow majority.
We have taken back control of the Senate. Wow, that's good. And the Senate races in Montana, Nevada, Texas, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. They were tough races, and I mean, the number of victories in the Senate was absolutely incredible.
And Mr. Trump now on track to achieving something a Republican candidate has not done in 20 years, and that is to win the popular vote. Currently he has the lead over Ms. Harris by more than 5 million votes. And for more, we're joined by Sally Patterson in West Palm Beach in Florida. Sally, voters have chosen to overlook Mr. Trump's criminal convictions and indictments, giving him the keys to the White House. What's the mood like in the Trump camp in Florida?
As the sun rises over Donald Trump's backyard here, it marks a new dawn of a new political era for U.S. politics. The 45th president is to become the 47th one, that result being announced much sooner than many expected. As you were hearing there, Donald Trump gave that victorious speech just before 2:30 a.m. local time. That's after Fox News declared that he would win the state of Pennsylvania and he would take the White House once again. He was met by a crowd at Palm Beach Convention Center just around the corner from where I'm standing. There was a jubilant feeling among those who'd been waiting there for several hours to see the man that they'd been campaigning for months and months, the man they say should be the next president of the United States. He'd spend the evening beforehand at his private estate, Mar-a-Lago, just up the road. He'd been watching there with a few close friends. Those included Elon Musk, the CEO of X, formerly known as Twitter, as well as Dana White as well, the CEO of UFC. They had been heavily involved in his campaign and he wanted to share those moments with them. Now, when he took to the stage, Donald Trump gave a short platform to many of the people who had also been central to his campaign, including his running mate, J.D. Vance, who gave a short speech as well. Trump used that opportunity to thank his family and thank those who'd been campaigning for him day in, day out. Now, there is certainly a feeling of excitement here, a feeling of optimism. Donald Trump said that it was time for the country to heal, and he says he was going to be the one to help it do that. We're also hearing memos of congratulations from various world leaders. Those include Britain's Prime Minister Keir Starmer and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. They have said that they're looking forward to working with Donald Trump in the years to come. Now, as you can see around me, certainly some windy and slightly turbulent weather here in Florida, but none of that can dampen the spirits of those who are celebrating the next 4 years of Donald Trump back in the White House.
Oh, thanks. Sally Patterson reporting live from West Palm Beach, Florida. And for more analysis, we have here Clark Jennings. He's Managing Director at Kroll Global Advisors. Thanks so much for coming, Mr. Jennings.
Thanks for having me.
We just heard from our correspondent there. Mr. Trump says he's going to heal these considerable divisions. Is that likely?
That's going to be a question that will play out not only in the coming days, but I think in the coming years. We have heard things from President Trump before that obviously did not play out, I think, the way that Americans believed they would. And when he says that he wants to heal divisions, I think he will have to answer for how he campaigned, which was in many ways a campaign of retribution and personal maybe attacks, but certainly retribution against those that he feel has wronged him. And I think you're going to see some of that play out in the people they install in government and in the steps that he takes in the early days in Washington.
Oh, we'll get to that point of who he puts in government. a brutal fact, a campaign of retribution, but it was a campaign that worked. In comparison, Ms. Harris's campaign, short as it was, did not work.
Certainly not. And I will say, I think there was a lot of potential, we now know, overconfidence, perhaps, amongst the Democratic Party. I confess I even had it too. I think we felt that there was a lot of momentum in the final days, energy in the crowds, some of the polling beginning to shift, thinking that was moving towards Kamala Harris. And of course, that did not prove true. That I think the Trump campaign and his supporters have strongly refuted that, not only in the key battleground states, but nationwide.
And to be fair, it wasn't just rhetoric and feeling on the ground. There was genuine reason for people to celebrate the incumbent. Well, that did not happen, and that has translated into the Democrats' loss in this election. Why did they not feel what really should be a strong economy in the United States?
I think we have to start with a recognition that this was clearly a referendum campaign on the administration and on what ultimately is a very unpopular administration. I think President Biden's approval ratings are unfortunately sitting around 38% right now. And that's part of a global trend, which we can dig into more. But I think having a gut check at the outset, this was always going to be a tough hill for a Democratic candidate to climb. You have the unpopular incumbent. You have an incredibly sour mood in the American electorate. I think that is post-COVID trauma and effects that we are still working through, economic and social fallout. And then look, ultimately, an unprecedented election process, a 107-day sprint for Kamala Harris. And, you know, we're going to, in the coming days, pick through whether we think she could have done things differently. But ultimately, she wasn't able to make the case effectively to be the next president.
All right, you will stay with us, Mr. Jennings. But a final question now for this particular portion of your interview, which is, and we'll stay on Ms. Harris before we look ahead to Mr. Trump. We will be looking back, not just the next few days, weeks, months, likely years, for how the Democrats can improve in terms of imparting their message. You have the good economic figures, but the vibe just isn't there. People are just not feeling that. You can make any, I wouldn't use the word excuses, reasons why Ms. Harris did not reach that goal. But in a way, that's what a campaign is about. It's about making sometimes empty promises to bridge that gap in information and belief. Final point on what might have been done, something that, a lesson that the Democrats might take in the future.
Two very quick things that we'll be talking about in the coming days. Number one is I believe there was a campaign decision to have a bit of strategic ambiguity on some of the policies, recognizing it was only 107 days that she had it. But there's going to be a question about whether voters truly understood where she was and whether she was able to effectively define herself in that space. And then secondly, she ran on threat to democracy. And Biden, that was Biden's line. I think she needed to shift more to economic bread and butter issues.
I'm sorry, one more question very quickly. Would it have made better sense to go hard on policy detail and less on hope, change, and belief? Really final question for this portion.
We'll find out. I don't know. I think we'll find out in the coming days. It's hard to do that in a 107-day sprint when you have been handed an election and are off to the races. I think she spent much more time trying to ride a bit of the vibes, a bit of that momentum, and run a principles-based campaign, which was effective up until a point, and ultimately we see that voters wanted more.
Thanks so much. You stay with us, Mr. Jennings. Clark Jennings, Managing Director at Kroll Global Advisors.